The history of ancient Egypt is full of great leaders, men and women who led Egypt to be one of the greatest civilizations of its era. Unfortunately, some of these leaders are remembered less fondly, but none with as much contempt as Queen Nefertiti. She used her great charisma and leadership skills to change the history of Egypt before mysteriously disappearing without leaving any record. Welcome to Facts of History. Today, I'm going to tell you the controversial story of Nefertiti, the most loved and hated pharaoh of ancient Egypt. So, let's get started. Origins of the Queen. The reign of the powerful Queen Nefertiti dates back to 1300 BC. Although no one knows where exactly she belonged or who her parents were, historians suggest multiple theories about Queen Nefertiti's background. One of them suggested she was the daughter or niece of an Egyptian advisor named A, the brother of Akhenaton's mother, Tai. Another theory suggests that Nefertiti may have been Akhenaton's sister, since royalty used to marry their siblings or distant relatives. I think I would be more surprised if any royals did not marry their cousins or siblings. Thanks to Osiris, things changed. Regardless of where she came from, Queen Nefertiti made her mark in history as a powerful ruler and completely revolutionized Egyptian society and culture by introducing important changes to the way Egyptians lived. Although some sources state that Nefertiti ruled Egypt with her husband, others suspect that Nefertiti was the one who made the real decisions. The favorite consort of the pharaoh. It is well known that Nefertiti was Akhenaton's favorite consort. According to various sources, the king and queen were inseparable in the same way that peanut butter and jam were born to be together. However, some historians suggest that Nefertiti married Amenhotep when she was just 15 years old, and that they may have met before the man became pharaoh. During her lifetime, the teenage queen gave birth to 6 daughters and had as much power as the gods themselves when deciding the fate of the thousands of souls living in Egypt, along with the fate of their closest neighbors. Eventually, this would earn her a negative reputation, but it would not be until her true rise to power that she would become a true figure worthy of admiration, fear, and respect in equal amounts. Egypt's most loved and hated queen. Nefertiti ruled ancient Egypt from 1353 to 1336 BC and enjoyed many titles, such as Hereditary Princess, Great King's Wife, His Beloved, Lady of All Women, and Lady of Grace. However, her most impressive title was undoubtedly that of Mistress of Upper and Lower Egypt, which reflected her unquestionable authority. After winning the heart of Amenhotep, the pharaoh himself recognized her as his equal, allowing her to enjoy the same power and making Nefertiti's orders carry the same weight as if they came from Amenhotep's throat. Soon, reliefs and statues of the queen were erected all over Egypt. While some depicted her as a beautiful woman with wide hips and prominent breasts, others highlighted her more aggressive and powerful side. The depictions varied widely, ranging from showing the queen driving chariots to attend ceremonial events and putting an end to her enemies. More than a queen, Nefertiti was the true personification of feminine power. In a historical drawing, she can even be seen wearing the pharaoh's crown, demonstrating the esteem and power the queen enjoyed. The queen was an active decision-maker and was very involved in all court affairs according to the inscriptions. Whether it was to be deciding the fate of all Egypt or the fate of a single mouse, Nefertiti was always actively involved in Egyptian politics. This led her to win the admiration of her peers and eventually in a pair with God. Before moving on, here's a fun fact. Did you know Nefertiti created her own kind of makeup by utilizing the galena plant? Although she might not have needed it, since Nefertiti is considered one of the most beautiful women who ever walked the earth, as we can see on the Nefertiti bust that has mesmerized humanity. Let's move on. The start of a new religion. If someone knocked on your door and told you that your beliefs don't matter, that wouldn't be very nice on their part. But if they were to force you to stop praying to your gods and make you worship a new god, well, we have a problem. As soon as they were established on the throne, Nefertiti and Amenhotep introduced a new religion in ancient Egypt against polytheism. After crowning themselves as high priests, the kings of Egypt sought to convince the people that there was only one god. The sun god was known as Aten and became the sole focus of official worship during the queen's reign. To ensure that the sun god was properly worshipped, Nefertiti implemented this new religion by force and strictly enforced its acceptance in the hope that all citizens would discard their old beliefs and accept Aten as their true god. Unfortunately, the gods are very jealous when it comes to worship, as history has shown us on numerous occasions. Their worshippers became powerful enemies when someone gets in the way of their prayers, even if that someone is the most powerful and beautiful queen on the entire Nile River. To be fair to our pair of lovebirds, the king and queen truly believed that there was only one god, and they wanted to help the common people gain access to the Aten. And what better way to reach the gods than under their watchful eye? This ideology brought supreme power to Nefertiti and made her go from being a simple queen to becoming one of the most influential women in history, and one of the most hated, which eventually caused the decline of her husband's reign. After implementing this new religion, Nefertiti changed her name to Neferuaten Nefertiti, which meant, "Beautiful are the beauties of Aton, a beautiful woman has come," to show absolutism toward the Aton. In contrast, Amenhotep changed his name to Akhenaten. We have no idea what Akhenaten meant, but we are sure it had nothing to do with being a beautiful woman. It wasn't long until Amenhotep III, now known as Akhenaten, became intolerant of other religions and launched a costly effort to eradicate polytheism. This resulted in the closure of all polytheistic temples and the dismissal of all old gods, leaving all priests with only Aton to worship. The campaign was not only a complete disaster for Akhenaten's image, but it also ended up emptying the pharaoh's coffers, leaving the kingdom to sink into deep debt and disastrous chaos. Soon after, Akhenaten died, leaving one of the most powerful civilizations of the ancient world in the middle of the richest period of history, in one of the worst economic and socio-political situations. I guess praying to the sun didn't help him too much. The mysterious disappearance of Nefertiti. After the disappearance of her beloved Akhenaten, Nefertiti ruled for 17 prosperous years before suddenly disappearing from Egyptian history. Some historians believe that Nefertiti died in 1336 BC, which explains her sudden disappearance from the records of Egyptian history. There is a widely accepted belief that Nefertiti may have abandoned her former title to become co-regent under the name Neferuaten until King Tut came to power. While we know that Nefertiti and Akhenaten had 6 daughters, historians claim that 2 of them served as queens of Egypt, carrying on their father's legacy. I hope her daughters have not forbidden anyone to pray to their gods. His connection with Tutankhamen. Although Nefertiti did not have a direct blood relationship with King Tut, experts point out that one of Nefertiti's daughters, Ankhesenemon, married her half-brother Tutankhamen. The latter was the son of one of Akhenaten's lower consorts. Now that's what I call a messy family tree. Could Nefertiti have committed suicide? Another theory states that after the death of one of her daughters, Nefertiti could not bear her loss, which led to an immense depression that drove her to suicide, allowing her stepson Tutankhamen to assume the throne. Although considering her personality, it is unlikely. Nefertiti was a woman of steel who did not know how to give up and always raised her head even in the worst situation. But it is also possible that this was also a lie. If we think about it carefully, Nefertiti could have used her seemingly indestructible personality to hide her more sensitive and human side. Yet, no record speaks about it. Nefertiti was undoubtedly one of the most loved and hated queens of ancient Egypt, and turned the world upside down through her crazy religious beliefs that led her to commit a witch hunt against polytheist religionists, costing the government more money than they could actually afford. Although hundreds of years have passed since her death, she will always be remembered as one of the most influential and powerful women of all time. That's all for now. See you in the next video with another interesting topic.